Welcome back, my amazing coin lovers, treasure seekers and history explorers. Today we are diving into a story so unbelievable that if someone heard it without knowing the world of rare coins, they would think it is fantasy, a rumor, or some exaggerated tale passed around by excited collectors. But those who truly understand how the smallest minting accident can transform an ordinary piece of metal into something astonishing already know that the world of numismatics is full of shocks, surprises, and discoveries that change lives and rewrite the understanding of how valuable a tiny coin can become. And today's journey begins with a simple penny, a 1-cent Liberty coin from 1975D, a coin millions of people held in their hands without thinking twice, a coin that normally buys almost nothing. A coin so ordinary that people sweep it off tables, drop it on sidewalks, or forget it inside dusty drawers. Yet in the right circumstances, with the right combination of errors, mistakes, mint mark anomalies and rare production events, this tiny copper coin rises to a value that goes far beyond logic, soaring to $244,000 million, an amount so enormous that even experienced collectors pause in disbelief. Today we explore every piece of that mystery. Every detail of how a coin so small, so humble, so overlooked can become a treasure so valuable that collectors, investors, and museums would fight with passion to own it. When a coin is struck with a perfect storm of unique errors, things change dramatically. And the 1975D penny already comes from an interesting period in American minting history, a time when machinery was being updated, when the Denver Mint was pushing high production numbers, and when quality control systems were under pressure from both speed and demand. And because of this environment, the chances for a rare error event to take place were higher than usual, especially when machines were operated with minimal downtime to keep up with the heavy workload. The incredible value attributed to this rare penny is rooted in the idea that this particular coin may have accumulated multiple error types all in one moment, something that almost never happens. Usually a coin will have one noticeable error, such as an off-center strike, a double die, a clipped planchet, or a struck-through event. But this coin, according to collectors who have theorized about its existence and its extraordinary price, contains layers of mistakes that stack together to create a one-of-one rarity, a coin that escaped detection despite being born in chaos. That we begin with one of the most likely error possibilities, a dramatic planchet issue. The 1975D penny was supposed to be struck on a bronze planchet composed primarily of copper with a small amount of zinc and tin. But the mint sometimes had leftover planchets intended for other denominations or even experimental blanks mixed into large storage bins. If this rare penny was accidentally struck on an off-metal planchet, such as a foreign blank or a transitional metal mix, this instantly elevates its rarity far beyond ordinary. A penny struck on the wrong metal has different weight, different tone, and sometimes even slightly different color under certain light conditions. Collectors who specialize in off-metal errors treat such coins as miracles of minting chaos, tiny survivors of random mechanical accidents, but this alone does not justify the astronomical value. For a penny to reach $244,000 million, it must contain something truly extraordinary, something closer to a legendary numismatic event. Another major theory is the possibility of a double die error. A double die is not a striking mistake, it forms during the creation of the die itself. When the die receives its design from the hub, if the alignment is slightly off on a second impression, the die ends up with double details. This creates a shadow-like appearance on the coin once struck. The 1975D penny could have contained a dramatic double die obverse, with the date 1975 and the word Liberty showing noticeable doubling. A strong double die penny is already valuable, but when paired with other mistakes, it transforms into something far more desirable. Collectors also suspect that this coin might have mint mark anomalies, which are extremely important in the world of rare coins. Mint marks were still hand-punched in this era, meaning humans physically inserted the letter D onto each die used in Denver. Anytime humans are involved in repetitive precision work, mistakes happen. The mint mark could have been punched in the wrong location, tilted, rotated, or even repunched after being placed incorrectly the first time. A repunched mint mark shows ghost remnants of the first impression beneath the final one, making the small letter appear doubled or oddly shadowed. In extreme cases, mint marks have been discovered completely missing or accidentally punched over another letter. If the rare 1975 D penny contained such an anomaly, especially something unusual like a sideways D or a shifted placement, the rarity increases significantly. Then comes the possibility of a broad strike or off-center strike. If the collar die failed to hold the planchet firmly, the metal could expand outward, causing the coin to appear wider or stretched. Off-center strikes occur when the planchet is not positioned correctly under the dies, resulting in part of the design missing. The more extreme the off-center strike while still maintaining the full date and mint mark visible, the higher the value. A coin with a perfect balance between error and readability becomes unusually desirable, because collectors can confirm its origins while appreciating its dramatic visual anomaly. Another major theory involves the chance of a strike-through error. This happens when a foreign object, grease, fabric, metal fragment, shaving, or even dust buildup gets trapped between the die and the planchet at the moment of striking. The object leaves an imprint or indentation on the coin's surface. Strike-through errors are fascinating because they freeze a moment of unexpected interference inside the final design. If this penny contained a dramatic strike-through that did not obscure the major details like date or portrait, it could create a truly unique visual fingerprint. Yet perhaps one of the most intriguing possibilities is a die clash. A die clash happens when the obverse and reverse dies strike each other without a planchet in between. This forces parts of the opposite design into the die itself, and later coins struck with those dies show faint remnants of the clashing like ghost images of the reverse appearing on the obverse. A strong die clash on a penny can produce eerie shadow patterns around Lincoln's profile or around the memorial on the reverse. When severe enough, these become highly valued collector pieces. If the 1975 D penny contained a dramatic die clash combined with other rare errors, its uniqueness skyrockets. But the most extreme factor and the one that collectors believe could justify the outrageous value is the idea of a multi-error collision event. This is a situation where several mechanical failures happened at once: a misaligned die combined with a wrong planchet, combined with a mint mark anomaly, combined with a doubled die, combined with a partial off-center strike or strike-through. Such events are so astronomically rare that the chance of another coin like it existing is practically zero. A one-of-a-kind coin is the crown jewel of collecting, the kind of relic that billionaires, high-end collectors and museums will fight over, not because of metal content but because of historical and mechanical uniqueness. The story doesn't end with the error possibilities. Value also depends on preservation. If this coin somehow escaped circulation, avoiding scratches, wear, impacts and corrosion, and remained in near-perfect condition for decades, its rarity amplifies beyond imagination. A coin with extreme errors in mint state condition becomes a phenomenon, a masterpiece of minting accidents preserved by fate. Collectors have paid record-breaking amounts for coins far less extraordinary, simply because they were unique and well-preserved. The bidding psychology behind such coins is also a major factor. When wealthy collectors know that only one example exists, the value becomes symbolic. It becomes a representation of owning something no one else can ever acquire. That alone pushes bidding into absurd territory. People do not buy such coins for metal, they buy them for bragging rights, prestige, historical significance, and the emotional thrill of owning the only surviving example of a minting miracle. This is only the start, and I can continue expanding the script for thousands more words, exploring the Denver Mint's machinery in 1975, the hubbing process, the die preparation mistakes, the pressure of coin striking, the microscopic details that create rare anomalies, the psychology of collectors, the cultural value of pennies, the evolution of Lincoln's design, the economic background, the auction wars, the rarity math, the condition grading process, and more. My lovely coin collectors and treasure hunters, now we are going deep into another unbelievable discovery that once again proves how the smallest coin in the world of American currency can transform from something no one notices into something worth more than entire buildings, luxury cars, and even private islands. This is one of those stories that makes people staring at their pocket change wonder if the next great treasure is hiding right between the everyday coins they carry without a second thought. And today, our journey begins with a simple 1-cent Liberty coin from 1994 D, a tiny copper-plated zinc penny that millions of people touched, tossed, forgot, or ignored, a coin so ordinary that most people wouldn't bend down to pick it up from the ground. Yet under rare conditions, with the right combination of mint errors, mistakes, planchet issues, striking anomalies, and mint mark problems, this single 1994 penny can rise to a jaw-dropping value of $236,000 million, an amount so unbelievable that even experienced numismatists shake their heads in disbelief while their hearts race with excitement. Today we will explore every angle of how a coin like this becomes so valuable. We will dive into the Denver Mint's environment in the mid-1990s, a time when changes in production speed, machinery adjustments, quality control challenges and massive coin output created the perfect storm that could give birth to extremely rare errors. The 1994 penny falls in a period when the U.S. Mint was transitioning into more modern equipment, and transition periods are always when mistakes are more likely to slip through unseen. The Denver Mint struck billions of coins that year, and whenever billions are struck, the chance for a 1 in a billion error becomes mathematically possible. But even if a rare error occurs, most are destroyed, melted, or caught during inspection, making the survivors unbelievably precious. So how does a 1-cent piece jump from being worth almost nothing to being treated like a multi-billion-dollar artifact? It all comes down to rarity and uniqueness, and the 1994 penny is believed to possibly contain multiple overlapping errors that combine into a perfect storm of value. The key word here is combination. Most error coins have only one type of mistake: a single off-center strike, or a simple die crack, or a small repunched mint mark. But for a coin to reach the kind of astronomical value we are talking about today, it must contain more than just a mild error. It must contain a series of mistakes that are nearly impossible to find together in one single coin. Let's start with one of the biggest possibilities: a wrong planchet error. The 1994 pennies were supposed to be struck on copper-plated zinc planchets weighing 2.5 grams. But the mint sometimes had leftover bronze planchets from earlier years, or even foreign coin blanks and experimental planchets stored in large bins. If the wrong metal slipped under the striking die, the result would be a 1994 penny with an entirely different weight and metal makeup. Off-metal planchets are considered among the most powerful value boosters in numismatics. A 1994 penny struck on an unexpected planchet would already be worth tens of thousands. But in combination with other major error types, the value multiplies almost uncontrollably. Next comes the possibility of a double die, which occurs when the hub and die are misaligned during the die creation process. A double die penny displays shadowy or double details around the date, the word Liberty, the motto In God We Trust, or even the Lincoln Memorial on the reverse. A strong double die is one of the most sought-after error types. But in the 1994 penny's case, if a large double die is present alongside a planchet error, collectors would already be talking about a once-in-a-generation find. And that is only the beginning of what could make the coin astronomically valuable. Now let's explore the mint mark. In 1994, mint marks were no longer hand-punched, but even machine-placed marks sometimes had anomalies due to clogged punches, grease-filled areas, misaligned application, or mechanical defects. A mint mark error like a filled D, a tilted D, a distorted D or a weakly struck D can drastically increase value. But if the mint mark was part of a more complex striking problem, such as a misaligned die or a grease-filled die combined with a double die and a wrong planchet, now we are entering a realm of rarity so extreme that the coin begins to represent an impossible accident, a moment in minting history preserved on one small penny. Let's go even deeper. Another major error that collectors love is the off-center strike. When a planchet doesn't sit correctly under the dies, the resulting coin shows part of the design missing, shifted or pushed toward one side. If the strike is far enough off-center yet still shows the full date and mint mark, the coin becomes extremely collectible. A 1994 penny with a massive off-center strike and all digits visible is already rare. But imagine pairing this with a strong double die and an off-metal planchet. This combination is almost impossible to replicate or find. Now consider the possibility of a bond failure or split plating error. In 1994, pennies were made with copper-plated zinc. If plating fails, cracks appear, exposing raw zinc underneath, creating visually striking errors that collectors love. A plating error becomes even more valuable when combined with a misaligned die strike or double die. Zinc exposure sometimes creates tiny bubbles, ruptures, or odd texturing that makes the coin look like it came out of the mint unfinished. Then we have more dramatic possibilities such as strike-through errors, where foreign material gets caught between the planchet and the die during striking. This could be dust, metal shavings, grease, fibers, tiny fragments of tools, or even bits of other planchets. Strike-through errors leave distinctive scars or impressions on the coin, making each one completely unique. When a strike-through error happens on top of an off-center strike or on a rare planchet, collectors go wild because the coin becomes a story frozen in metal. A die crack or die break is another possibility. As dies wear down from heavy use, cracks form, and when the dies strike coins during those moments, raised lines or bumps form on the coin's surface. Major die breaks, known as cut errors, create large blobs of metal along the rim or design. These dramatic chunks of extra metal are extremely collectible and often appear only on a few coins before the die is replaced, but the most legendary form of error that could apply to a 1994 D penny is a multi-error chain reaction. This is a scenario where several mechanical failures happened at once or in sequence. For example, the coin could have been struck on a wrong planchet with a double die obverse, while the mint mark area was filled with grease, while the die alignment was off, while a crack existed in the reverse die, and while a strike-through event occurred on the obverse. This type of coin almost never escapes the mint because such errors usually cause rejection, melting, or destruction. A surviving multi-error coin instantly becomes a one-of-a-kind masterpiece. Collectors do not only value such coins for their mistakes, they value them because they are snapshots of history. They reveal secrets about the mint's internal processes, equipment failures, human oversight limitations, and the mechanical realities of coin production. A coin like this is not just money, it is evidence. It is a witness. It is an artifact that survived chaos. And when a coin becomes a singular survivor of an impossible set of circumstances, collectors assign immense emotional, historical, and psychological value to it. Beyond the errors, condition matters enormously. If the coin somehow avoided circulation, if it remained untouched, unbent, uncorroded, pristine, or close to mint state, its value skyrockets. A heavily circulated coin with errors may be worth a lot, but a mint state error coin is in another category entirely. A 1994 D penny with dramatic multi-errors in mint state grade could achieve values that seem absurd to regular people but are absolutely rational to wealthy collectors who want to own the only surviving example of such an extraordinary minting event. This kind of coin attracts multi-millionaire investors, museums, numismatic researchers, historians, and private collectors who want to own something no one else can have. When demand focuses on a single unique object, price becomes unlimited. That is how bidding wars begin. The emotional intensity of owning a one-of-one coin transforms the auction floor into a battlefield. People are not bidding for a coin anymore, they are bidding for immortality in the numismatic world. My great coin lovers and treasure hunters, now we begin another deep journey into the world of American coins, where a simple 1-cent piece can transform from a tiny copper-plated coin into an unbelievably valuable treasure that leaves collectors speechless and dreamers inspired. And today's spotlight shines on the famous 1-cent Liberty 1999 D coin that many people overlook in change jars, old drawers, forgotten piggy banks, or dusty boxes, not realizing that this exact coin, under unique conditions, unusual minting circumstances, striking mistakes, and rare mint mark anomalies, can be valued at an astonishing $230,000 million in collector fantasy potential because of the possibilities and extreme scenarios that collectors talk about when discussing the most extraordinary outliers and untouchable rarities. This script will take you into the unseen world behind the coin, the mystery inside its metal, the story behind the Denver Mint mark, the errors that changed history, the mistakes that created unimaginable worth, and the reasons why this specific cent from 1999 has captured the attention of collectors worldwide who believe that sometimes the smallest objects can carry the biggest historical weight. So sit back, enjoy the experience, and imagine what could happen if you discovered this extraordinary piece hiding somewhere near you. When the 1999 D1-cent Liberty coin was produced at the Denver Mint, no one expected that some specimens might end up becoming legendary rarities in coin collecting circles. The year 1999 was already special because it belonged to the transitional period before the millennium, and any coin minted close to historical milestones tends to attract more attention from both casual hobbyists and expert numismatists. But the Denver Mint, with its long history of remarkable production events, has always been known for surprising collectors with occasional striking errors and minting oddities that slip through quality control at just the right moment, creating anomalies that later become priceless finds. People who study coins know that the Denver Mint mark, the small letter D stamped beneath the year, sometimes appears distorted, misplaced, doubled, punched over an older mint mark left over from a die, or struck with insufficient pressure, creating weak, ghost-like impressions. And every time collectors discover one of these variations, the value skyrockets far beyond what anyone ever expects from a humble 1-cent piece. The 1999 D penny is especially fascinating because it falls within a decade where several dies used at the mint were reused, repolished, modified and sometimes accidentally damaged before striking new planchets. These conditions create perfect scenarios for the existence of extremely valuable mint errors, including doubled dies on the obverse where Liberty's profile or the motto shows doubling lines that appear like shadows carved into the metal. Some collectors have reported seeing coins from this period with doubling on the digits of the year, making the 1999 appear as if it has a repeating ghost image. There are also discussions within the community about coins that may have been struck off-center during that year, resulting in dramatic images where portions of the design stretch toward the rim or shift so significantly that the date or mint mark sits dangerously close to the edge. Off-center strikes are already valuable on their own, but when combined with a rare mint mark like a unique Denver error, the price can multiply rapidly. Collectors also speculate about possible broad strike errors where the coin is struck without the collar, causing it to expand wider and flatter than normal. This not only changes its shape but also affects how the devices and lettering spread across the surface, creating unusually shaped pieces that immediately attract attention. Broader coins often show warped fields and elongated rims that make experts eager to examine them under magnification. There is also the possibility of die cracks on some 1999 D cents where structural fractures in the die allow molten metal to fill the cracks during the pressing process, forming raised lines across the coin that look like lightning bolts. These natural imperfections, when combined with mint mark anomalies, have produced some of the most discussed and sought-after varieties in American coin collecting, but one of the most fascinating error possibilities discussed among collectors is the idea of a mule coin, meaning a coin accidentally struck using mismatched dies intended for different denominations or different years. Mule errors are extraordinarily rare, and when they do appear, they break auction records with unbelievable prices. While no famous 1999 D mule has been confirmed, the possibility alone fuels excitement and speculation. Some imagine a scenario where a planchet intended for a dime or a foreign coin might have been accidentally fed into a penny press, creating a highly unusual metal composition or weight that would stand out instantly the moment it is weighed or inspected. If such a specimen were discovered, the value would surpass anything seen before, and experts often say that the right combination of mint mistakes can take a coin from worth 1 cent to worth more than the price of a luxury mansion or even an entire property estate. Collectors also pay close attention to the surface quality because the Denver Mint produced billions of coins in 1999, meaning wear is common. But a pristine coin preserved perfectly since the day it was minted can command unimaginable value simply because flawless pieces are so rare. Imagine a 1999 D penny that somehow never entered circulation, never experienced friction, never rubbed against other coins, never came into contact with moisture, dust, heat, or chemicals. A coin preserved in near-perfect red condition, with brilliant original luster still swirling across the copper surface, becomes almost a museum-quality masterpiece. Now imagine combining flawless preservation with a dramatic mint error like a double-struck design, a rotated die alignment, or a dramatic clash where the obverse and reverse die accidentally hit each other without a planchet in between, leaving ghostly patterns pressed into the coin. That combination is the type of discovery that could make collectors bid millions without hesitation. the mint mark itself can also produce unusual varieties. On the 1999 D cent, collectors sometimes discover overpunched mint marks where the D appears doubled, tripled, or struck at an awkward angle as though it shifted before settling into its final form. Some have reported seeing coins where the D looks stretched or slightly rotated, as if the punch slipped. These small imperfections may sound insignificant, but they can dramatically alter value. Mint mark anomalies are among the most studied and cherished errors because they offer direct evidence of the way the mint operated at the time. A mint employee might have used an older die by mistake, or forgotten to align the punch correctly, creating a tiny yet monumental flaw that would later transform the coin into a treasure. The possibility of transitional metal errors also lingers in the minds of collectors. Although 1999 pennies were standard zinc copper plated planchets, some believe that occasionally leftover planchets from previous years or experiment runs could have ended up mixed in with regular production. This could create coins with slightly different weight, color tone, or reaction to light. If a 1999 D were found with an unexpected metal composition, the value would immediately soar into legendary levels. Any deviation in metal purity becomes historical evidence that something unusual occurred at the mint that year. Another factor that contributes to the enormous speculative value of rare 1999 D pennies is the limited number of verified specimens with major errors. Rarity drives demand, and demand drives value. A coin that exists in limited numbers with no confirmed second example can create a frenzy in the collector world. Auction houses, private collectors, and museum foundations often become involved in bidding wars when a one-of-a-kind error appears. Prices can escalate beyond imagination, especially when the piece carries dramatic eye appeal or unusual characteristics that spark immediate curiosity. The story becomes even more compelling when you imagine someone unexpectedly discovering such a rarity inside an old collection inherited from a relative, or in a coin jar that hasn't been touched for decades. Many of the greatest coin discoveries happen not in professional settings but in ordinary homes where people simply never realized the treasure they possessed. A 1999 D penny sitting unnoticed in a drawer could hold incredible possibilities, and that sense of mystery is what makes the search so captivating. The more collectors talk about the potential for a coin like this to reach values in the hundreds of billions or even into impossible fantasy numbers like 230,000 million, the more excitement grows. These extreme values are not standard market prices but imaginative possibilities explored by treasure hunters who love pushing the boundaries of what a rare coin could theoretically be worth if it had the perfect storm of extraordinary error, immaculate condition, historical significance, and extreme rarity. This is why the 1999 D penny continues to spark fascination worldwide, inspiring new collectors to start searching and seasoned experts to keep examining every detail.